Hey everyone, welcome to DK TV. I'm DK Sports Ambassador Wade McElwain. Well, it's here. It's here, the biggest fight event of 2016. It's UFC 200. So pop in the mouth guard, tighten up those gloves, get ready for a punch to the head because DraftKings is getting into UFC 200. Joining me, Nick Webb, who is here. Nick, thank you very much. Fight enthusiast, MMA enthusiast. Very exciting for UFC 200. What are kind of things you're looking for in this match, in this battle royale?
Well, Wade, as you say, it's fight of the year, really. It really is. What a card. I mean, we've got fights so good on the undercard, we can't talk about them because the top cards are full of title fights. We've got 11 champions or previous champions fighting out for interim belts, a bit of pride, new belts. It's just going to be fireworks from start to finish, and we get to have a flutter on DK as well.
And we do as well. DraftKings giving away the DK Haymaker special this year. Oh my God, for this tournament, 100,000 in prizes, guaranteed 10,000, the top prize. Best of all, you don't have to get punched in the face to win. Unless you're into that, then maybe you want to do that. So we're taking a look. Now, there was a big thing. Conor McGregor, obviously, that was part of the whole thing. He didn't come into this. There was all of that stuff going on. And then the Brock Lesnar situation. A lot of politics going on involved before we get into it.
It was, yeah. McGregor was an odd one because obviously he was slated to fight. He was fighting Diaz again. It was all on the cards. And then he had a bit of a McGregor moment. Just went, no, I'm off. Toys out the pram.
I'm bigger than Jesus.
Yeah,
I didn't actually say that, but
bigger than Jesus.
It's one of those moments.
Yeah. I had 12 of the best seconds of my life, and I'm the best. And then 3 days later, he's like, oh, actually, I would like to fight again because bills need to be paid. And Dana White, Big Daddy Dana, went, nah, no, you've had your chance. You're on 202, so we can stop talking about McGregor until for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Big Brock.
Well, I mean, there was that whole thing about him coming back, and he hasn't fought since 2011.
No.
And he lost twice. Then he did fight.
He did. He lost to Overeem and to Kane.
He has this huge personality, though. Like, this is the thing, the big draw that he's got. He's got that huge tattoo. And
with the knuckle dusters? Because that's what you need on a sword, is a set of knuckle dusters.
That's something you want to go to a kid's birthday party with on your chest. But the controversy there, and what do you think about his decision to come back to the UFC? Is it a wise move?
Well, I'm not saying it's a wise move, but we're in England, I'm an Englishman, and MMA and WWE don't really go hand in hand, but in America, they're together. Sure. There's a lot of crossover, so there's a lot of money.
Well, he was he fought in many competitive events before that. He was a wrestler, mixed martial arts fighter. He wasn't just a wrestler. He wasn't just a WWE wrestler.
He's no CM Punk.
Yeah.
Okay? He's not coming off the playground to play with the boys. Brock Lesnar is a legitimate wrestler, but I was as shocked at you. UFC 199, sitting down to watch Michael Bisping take the title from Luke Rockhold. And then all of a sudden, Brock's going to fight in 3 weeks' time. After, as you say, 2 years of Izzy, and then boom, he's fighting. He's fighting Mark Hunt.
And a lot of politics behind it, but obviously in the UFC, we don't care about the politics. We just care about the fight. So Nick and I are going to talk about some fights right now. Let's get into the first one, the kid. Sage Northcott versus Enrique Moran.
Super Sage.
This kid is he's touted as the golden boy. He's the karate kid. He's studying petrochemical engineering in university. He's bright. But in his last fight, he got surprised, and he got Von Flue choked.
He did. He got choked in quite an embarrassing way. If you've ever done some wrestling, that's the first thing you're taught after. Don't let people drag you from behind. Don't get Von Flue. Don't do it. Don't do it. But you're right. He's a clever guy as well. You've got to take fighter IQ into account when you're dealing with fighters, especially in MMA. There's a lot of on the toe. You got to think, and he's smart. He knows when to wrestle. He knows when to back up, but as you say, he's young, inexperienced, and it showed a little bit.
Do you think, though, too, because the way I look at it as well, and part of this fight, he's fighting, so we got Sage Northcutt at 11,300 on DraftKings.
You have.
Enrique Moran, 8,100. Is this like a gimme fight? Is this like bringing up the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters? Is this like, here you go, we love you, beat him up? Is it one of those, or do you think Moran, is he got a chance in this?
It's MMA.
Yeah.
When knuckles hit chins, you can knock out Brock Lesnar. If you hit him at the right time, we saw it with Luke Rockhold. We see it all the time in MMA. So if you've got a little bit left at your DraftKings, I think he might be worth 8-1.
Wow.
He might be, just because, why not? I mean, he's not on my list.
Sure, no, of course, yeah.
But if you're looking going, I need someone a bit cheap who might get me a quick knockout and a surprise, you've got to take confidence into account. Sage was all the tout. Dana White was leading him out like a prized horse all the time.
Well, yeah,
Smack on the bum, look at Sage, Super Sage, and all of a sudden, he's in the lose column. Sage who?
Well, he's 20 years old. He's like the Justin Bieber of the UFC, pretty much.
Yeah, but hopefully, like, Sage will bounce back well. Unlike Bieber.
Hopefully,
just keep
hopefully, but also
bouncing.
the Sage Northcott's not.
Sage versus Bieber, who have you got?
I would just love to see it. I would just love to see it. I don't care.
Dana,
I think we know who's going to win. Let's do Sage Northcott versus. All right, so we're going to do our next fight. Johnny Hendricks, 10,100 versus Kevin Gastelum. Hendricks is a little old, isn't he? I mean, he's like Murtaugh from Lebanon. I'm too old for this.
Well, when Dan Henderson...
And how much longer can his beard grow? I mean, Gastelum, he seems to be like, even at a lesser value, he seems to be the guy to choose in this fight, even though he's a lower value. What do you think on this?
Let's have a look at Gastelum's career. 2013, he had one of the biggest upsets. He beat Uriah Hall, took the season 17 tough title, took it home, that's mine. And it wasn't close. Let's not muck around. He had an amazing 2014. I think he's 5-0, 4-0. 2015 left him a little bit dodgy. He's 1 for 3, but those were 2 split decisions. So they go either way. The judges have a few too many drinks before, and all of a sudden he's 3-0 and 4-0, and we're looking at a welterweight run the likes of we've never seen since GSP. Now he's had a couple of close decisions. All of a sudden he's not quite the top talented guy, but he's worth it. Was he 9-3?
9,300.
9,300.
Is Gastelum one of those guys that you actually look at and sort of go, you know what, this could be the next fight to that future again?
Yeah, and I mean...
Is this the stepping stone that he needs to get further?
He does, and he's a big heavyweight, which is a problem because he's fighting at welterweight. I mean, Kelvin Gastelum won tough at middleweight at 180.
Yeah.
And he's doing 185. Now he's doing 170. And Hendricks, he's getting old, likes to throw people around, uses cardio. But Gastelum's a big guy to throw around for 15 minutes. He's no Martin Kampman. You're not going to throw him around like that. So my money's on Gastelum.
My money's on Gastelum as well. Let's move into our next big fight. We're talking the women's bantamweight. A lot of good women's fighting in this one. Kat Zagano, Juliana Pena. Juliana Zagano, I mean, she's hasn't been in the octagon for a while. She was an old champion, and Pena is like this young talent. She's fiery. She's fast. I mean, and she's only an 8,900. When you look at the value and the difference between both of them, I mean, personally, I chose Pena in this one because I think she really can do a good job on her.
I believe I was a couple of $100 short of Pena, to be honest. But yeah, she bites down on the mouthpiece and she doesn't care. She gets hit, she's not going to turn, she's going to bite down and swing. And it's just beautiful to watch, man.
Do you think in a lot of cases, too, I mean, you talk about this Conor McGregor revolution where a lot of people are becoming celebrities again. Do you think a lot of the older fighters, like a Zagano, like, do you think Kat's going to go, and you know what, I'm coming back this is my chance, I'm back in it again, let's go back to the octagon and see? Yeah,
there's a bit more money to be made these days. I mean, you look at like Bas Rutten, for example.
Yeah.
He was one of the greatest of all time. He has to commentate to pay the bills. And he's like one of the best of all time. Now McGregor's getting, what, $1 million a fight?
Sure.
So, yeah, and I think fighters, when you're a fighter and you end up with missing teeth, broken hands, etc., that's all you can do for a living.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Kat Zagano might be thinking, well, I could always, work at Foot Locker or something like that, but at the end of the day, I could go and get knocked out for 25 grand.
Well, especially when the Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, and, obviously the title and Tate and everyone like that you're sort of going, okay, well, they're the women's, I think women's UFC and women's MMA is like really a big new thing. It's really found a new energy. So I think there's a lot of women that may have been fighters previous that are going, you know what, screw this, I'm coming back, I'm in.
Yeah, and like now Rousey's gone, the Queen has gone, everyone's like, well, we'll fight. And I think we'll see, and this is my prediction, anytime a title change in the bantamweight or anything like that, you're going to see it flip. You've got Jana Jacek 2 days before. I think we might see a flip there as well.
You're going to see you think a title flip in this one?
I think a title flip all over the place. But, as you say, women's MMA is to be... it's stunning. You have to watch it. If you skip it, which I know a few people do not.
Do not,
It's like skipping the featherweights when WEC. It's a rookie mistake and you hate to see it. Watch these fights. They're going to be amazing.
Speaking of featherweights, let's move on to our next featherweight contest. Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar. 9,500, 9,900 for Edgar. This is a tight match. I mean, there's no denying the legacy of Aldo. He's a classic fighter. He's amazing. He's got a great legacy. But you wonder if after the Conor McGregor fight, if the team, if the camp, if they lost a little hope.
Yeah,
if they lost a lot of mustard and go, you know, can we turn this around? And as Frankie Edgar, this guy who, as you mentioned earlier, can just throw the punches. He's a prolific puncher.
Oh, Frankie Edgar's a whirlwind of fists, and he's always cutting angles. And you say about age, it's interesting because Aldo's getting on there a bit, and he has a lot of time off between fights.
Yeah.
A lot of time. Frankie Edgar trains all year round, 365. You know, you call up Frankie Edgar, he'll go knock out Chad Mendes for you on 7 days' notice. But it's pick'em. I mean, I went Edgar because I'm a huge Edgar fan. I mean, quite a lot of personal stuff behind that. But also, you say stat-wise, he's going to just rack up points.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. It's going to be, the scorers are going to be hard to keep up with him. There's going to be people hitting buttons all over the place. And my DraftKings points is going to go all the way up.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, it's all about the fights you choose. If you look at the fights we've got for UFC 200, particularly if you're looking at the Haymaker special, it's choosing the fighters that you want. Now, this next fight, the women's bantamweight, Miesha Tate, Amanda Nunes. Tate, 10,700, 8,700 for Nunes. Personally, I didn't choose this fight. I think it's too close.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those fights, as you were saying earlier, about the bantamweight, the changing of the title holders. I sort of look at it and go, I don't know what could happen in this one. Like, I think it's going to be such a close fight to call. I'm not willing to throw, but you know, other people might. What are your thoughts on this one?
If you're going to throw him on, I don't think you can lose though. By the same, if you're thinking, where do I go? Well, Miesha Tate's got good output. She's always punching. She's got a lot of takedowns, even in the fifth. Look at Holly Holm.
Yeah.
She can choke you in the fifth. If you've got the strength in the fifth to choke someone, I mean, Holly Holm unconscious.
Yeah.
That's money in the fifth. That's cardio. You've got to take that into account. But like, pick 'em. I mean, there was this big gap between Ronda Rousey and the rest of the women's bantamweight. She's gone, and now it's all to play for. It's going to be an exciting fight, but by all means, have a swing the other way.
Yeah. Well, I sort of look at it in a way. It's like I sort of look at Ronda Rousey in a way that the Tiger Woods. You know, she was the first. She was a champ. She was an indomitable. And then suddenly, what it does, it gives rise to a whole new generation of people that may not have had a voice before, and people that now have this opportunity to go, you know what, I could be the next Ronda Rousey. And there's a great opportunity here. Personally, I didn't choose this fight. I just think it's too close to call.
I didn't choose it either.
For 10,700 and 8,700, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go with things that I think there's a lot of fantasy points there, especially on title fights.
There is, and there's 10 grand to be won on the Haymaker as well.
Not 10 grand.
Not a lot to put on, maybe. But it's interesting, because steel sharpens steel. It's an old saying in MMA. If you have a good champion, you look at the rest of the division. You look at the monstrous division in the light heavyweight. Yeah. John Jones, DC at the top. They have created it's brutal. Yeah. If you're in the top 10, well done. Congrats, you've made it. You know, you are one of the best. And that's what Ronda Rousey, that will be her legacy, even if she never comes back, that she just raised the mark, and it's wonderful.
Did you raise the mark in for the MMA and for entertainment?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of entertainment, let's go to the heavyweight fight. Come on! Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt.
The Super Samoan.
So the striker versus grappler. I mean, I mentioned earlier Brock has been away since 2011 where he had 2 straight losses. But give it a go to that. He's got a 9-inch reach on him. And I watched that Jake the Snake documentary about his comeback and his struggles with his addictions and his troubles that he went through. And Brock Lesnar! That's why I put him on my list. I'm one of those, like, I'm a kid who's just like a wrestling fan. I want to see him win.
Well, that's why he's there.
But, I mean, he's 9,000. Mark Hunt is 10,400. Mark Hunt is favored in this fight. Take me through. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, your reaction to Brock Lesnar is exactly why he's on the card.
Yeah.
Because anyone that was like, well, there's a lot of fights, but I don't really... Oh, Brock Lesnar! Take my money, you know, myself included. I was like, I don't want to watch Brock Lesnar, but I found myself paying for the pay-per-view very quickly. But yeah, Brock's an interesting man, because he's a freak athlete, and he's not got the skill level of a mixed martial artist that we'll expect. But Mark Hunt is not the nicest challenge. Yeah. Like, as you say, striker versus grappler, but when you say striker with Mark Hunt, you're talking...
There's heavyweights. This is a heavyweight strikes. You know?
He of the walk-off just smack, see you later. Yeah. Mark Hunt is in the pub by the time you've hit the ground. He's had his first drink and you're still falling, and that's it. He's just the king of the walkaway. I think I would have it a bit more myself. I think you could definitely take Brock.
Do you think Brock is like Brock's going to go at him? He's a champion wrestler. So I mean, his wrestling skills, he's going to win. He knows he's got the reach, but he's going to know to avoid those strikes because it's going to take one shot and it's done, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So he's got to not only use his reach, but also use his wrestling advantage to try to take Hunt down and try to avoid those fists of fury.
And believe it or not, Brock Lesnar's going to have a speed advantage. That guy moves like you wouldn't believe. Mark Hunt is a bit of a plodder. In fact, he is all plodder. He covers ground with his overhand right, but Brock Lesnar can move. So I think you're right. We're going to see the start of the fight, how we saw against Velasquez. He's going to come out, he's going to throw a lazy jab, he's going to shift to the left, and he's just going to charge him. And he's going to try and get him on the ground and get him at least worn out because I don't think he's got a lot for Mark Hunt on the feet. That reach advantage is great, but I want more than 9-inch reach advantage if I was fighting Mark Hunt. I'd want kind of a couple of states advantage. Do you know what I mean? Like West Coast, East Coast, I'd be happy with that. That's the kind of advantage I'd like with Mark Hunt.
Hollywood divorce kind of separation.
yeah, that's what I'd like.
Well, that's gonna be a good one. I'm gonna watch that one probably a couple times.
Yeah.
Just replay it. All right, let's talk about the big fight. Let's get in there. Final one we're gonna talk about. We're talking the light heavyweight. Daniel Cormier, John Jones. Cormier 8,500. Jones 10,900. John Jones. The last fight he had was with cocaine and with
I think that was his opponent, was it?
Yeah. Who is this ring, buddy?
He also had a fight with a car and an SUV, didn't he, after that?
Hit and run. But let's not diminish the legacy. I mean, it's part of what he's had. He's been a very good fighter. Cormier is still, Cormier is 37 years old.
But a wrestler.
And a heavyweight. You got Jones is 28, but Jones is 28 and considered old. So, I mean, how do you see this fight? Because, Cormier's like, I'm in a clean living lifestyle, and this is all. And do you think that this is going to be sort of retribution for Jones after the last fight?
A little part of me hopes it is, just to cement a behavioural standpoint on John Jones. But 8,500 for Daniel Cormier is a bargain. It's an absolute, it's money in the bank. Hey, he's the champion.
Yeah.
Everyone's going like, he's the underdog. Their last fight wasn't all that, like Jones won it, but Cormier was in his face making points. Yeah. Remember, Cormier hits a lot. He's pressure. Yes, Jones is a very naturally talented athlete, but we see it with naturally talented athletes who rely on it too much. Yeah. I'm naturally gifted. I don't need to train. Don't need to focus so much.
I'm Kanye West.
I'm Luke Rockhold.
Exactly. Yeah.
And bang. But yeah, I think DC's money at 8,500.
Now, tell me about this fight, because here's the one thing I think a lot of us don't want is that boring fight that goes to a decision. I mean, is it going to be this chess match, or do you think these guys are they going to be feeling each other out for 5 rounds, or are we actually going to see some throwdown?
So here's an inside scoop for you, a little bit of something else to consider. Who's the referee? Herb Dean is refereeing it, and both fighters have had a go at Herb Dean for not separating the clinch too much. So you've got to think about that. Herb Dean's going to go in thinking, right, if you guys want to fight, every time you stop, I'm going to pull you apart. Yeah. And you're going to go straight back at it. Now, that could wear him out, but I think we're going to see action. And let's not forget, DC hates John Jones with a loathing passion. And I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see DC in his face. He's going to annoy Jones. Yeah, we're going to have some clinch work. It's a 5-round fight, which is another thing to consider for points.
Lots of points there, of course. You're going to get extra points in that for DraftKings. Extra points, 3 rounds versus 5 rounds. You want to choose those 5-round fights.
Yeah, you got to say, that's almost another 50% of points you're going to get. Yeah. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, we're going to see some clinch work. Jones is a grappler. DC is an Olympian. Yeah. So we're going to see them trying to wear each other down. But I think Herb's going to step in. He's going to give them what they want. They've both said, and DC has apologised for his comments to Herb Dean, but,
Sure. He's a little more mature now, so he has to be.
He's a little more mature.
He's a bit more, he's more fluid with his tongue, I think, in those kind of instances.
Well, he must make his wife very happy, but, Jones is great. Mighty Mouse Johnson is pound for pound the best fighter in the world, not John Jones. You have to have a title to be the best in the world, but, he's P for P, and it's going to be a good fight.
All right, Nick, give me your prediction on the fight. How do you think this fight's going to go, Cormier Jones?
As in finish? I think DC will win by decision. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 48-47. I think it's going to be DC takes it in the 5th. It'll be 1-2, 1-2, DC takes it in the 5th. Or Jones knocks out DC for TKO. But DC's got a chin of granite with a marble finish and a titanium trim.
Sounds like someone's in love.
Yeah. I'm all about the DC.
Oh, that's all right. How do you guys get involved at home? Of course, you go to DraftKings. Hey, MMA is huge this weekend. It's UFC 200. You go to DraftKings, you put together a 5-man roster, $50,000. Put it together, choose from all the fighters. It's the biggest fight of 2016, the biggest. You should win big. You could win big. DraftKings, welcome to the big time.